My name is Sam Meadahl, and my piece is called Ethereal Fluidity. I'm influenced by a lot of psychedelic and improvised music, but my biggest influence is definitely the Grateful Dead. Um, I love the way that the band members are so individual, but they complement each other so perfectly. There's one thing that the bass player Phil Lesh said one time that really stuck with me, and he said that each member of the band is like a finger on a hand, where they're all doing their own individual thing, but they're all working towards one common goal, which is serving the song. And I thought that was the perfect way to describe the band, but also a really interesting way to think about composing. The two main compositional techniques that I used in this piece are graphic notation and text. I really enjoy the openness of graphic notation. I find that it allows for lots of magic moments to happen in the piece, and I love the idea of pieces being played differently every night. I also think of it as a way of looking into someone's brain, where the way that they interpret the scores is different person to person, um, and you can see the different experiences that they've had in their lives that come through in the piece, and it's I just find it super interesting. The inspiration for this piece is lava lamps, specifically the lava that's inside the lamp. The short version of the prompt is that they are to picture themselves as the lava in the lamp and to improvise in such a way that they are reacting to the heat the way the lava would. So, like expanding and contracting, floating around, kind of morphing into different shapes through the sounds that they're creating and through textures, and um, just thinking about being in that space and what it would be like to evolve as the heat is increasing in the lamp. I'm just excited to be part of the festival. I've been to a few Sonic Boom performances in the past, but this is my first time composing for the festival. So I'm just excited to work with Mark and Adrian, and they're both wonderful musicians. So I'm just looking forward to seeing them perform my piece and the other pieces, and just to get to meet them and the other composers and just hang out and be part of it.
And my piece is Green Slide in Spring for alto flute and guitar. This piece is named after its inspiration, Green Slide. This is an area south of town. It's a forested area. Technically, it is an avalanche path, but locals often refer to Green Slide as the area around the avalanche path as well. And it is a place where my mom and I love to go to explore and spend time. And when it is safe to do so, so it is often the spring when we go there. And so it's a time where everything is softening and warming up and awakening, and it's very earthy, and it's a very nice place to be. It's very quiet as well. And so that is the inspiration of this piece, but also the idea of just traveling or roaming around a finite area. A technique I explored with this piece, a compositional technique, is an additive technique, where I took one note and then added a note, and so played one note and then two notes and then three notes and four notes and combined those all into a sequence. So that's a newer technique for me, and it was fun. And if I were to describe this piece in one word, I would call it explorative. All right, thank you. I hope you enjoy it.
Hello, my name is Michael Trew. My composition is entitled Recalling the Night. I started to write this in November when the Omicron variant was starting to take over as the dominant COVID variant, and things were looking pretty bleak. At the time, I was thinking about the nighttime in terms of a fearful time, whereas when I was younger, it was a much more happy time when I used to look forward to going out. So in this piece, there are two sides to the story. There's the flute, which is playing the darker side, and then the guitar, which is playing a lighter, more happy, positive kind of expression. I have many, many influences on my compositional style. Probably one of the most important was Stephen Chapman, who is one of my teachers. And I also like the work of Aaron Copland and Samuel Barber, just to name a few. But there are many more. In my piece, it's a kind of tonal. It's not really far out. I use a few extended techniques for the flute, but mostly it's a straightforward piece, and I hope you enjoy it.
My name's Diane Berry, and my piece is Where We Meet, and it's for flute and guitar. And I'm really excited about the Sonic Boom Festival and the concerts. It's going to be so wonderful to hear live music again. That's part of it. But we've been to Sonic Boom for a few years, and we always enjoy the concerts, the diversity of music, the different ideas, the different styles. It's always wonderful. And we always walk out feeling that we've just had the most amazing evening, and it's often inspiring as well. And I have a confession to make. I'm here on Vancouver Island. I live in Victoria, and I'm so looking forward to getting off the island for the first time in 2 years. I love it here, but it's kind of nice to get away. The inspiration for this piece. I read an article written by a journalist who had to cover a Trump rally. This was a number of years ago. And she went, and of course, it was like these people were living in a different world. And she was talking to a number of them. And she spoke to this woman, and it turned out they were both quilters. I think they were quilters. And she thought about the fact that there was this passion they both had, this thing that they both did. And it was a place where they met, their ideas met, that despite being so different, there was this thing they had in common. And I was really intrigued with that idea. And when I write, I love ideas that have different perspectives that you can almost like double meanings. And of course, where we meet, there is the physical place. For instance, my parents met under the clock at the University of Western Ontario. But there's also the meeting of ideas, the communication that goes with meeting. And I wanted to play with those two ideas in this piece. The two instruments start off with very different melodies, and they start to meet on notes, they meet physically on notes, and they start to pull from each other's ideas. And it was a really fun piece to write, actually. And knowing I'm a chamber player, and I love to write chamber music and play chamber music because of that communication and that meeting of ideas and musicianship and talent and everything. My inspiration generally is where I live. I get a lot of my inspiration from living by the coast, being on the water. And I get a lot of my inspiration for my music and my life from the natural environment. That's me. Nice to meet you, and enjoy Sonic Boom.
Hello, I'm Rodney Sharman, composer of the piece Missing You. It was written for Mark McGregor and Adrian Verdejo, who asked if the piece could have something to do with Japanese music. I had the pleasure and privilege of working with Joe Kondo when I was an undergraduate. He taught me traditional and new Japanese music. His music has a tremendous effect on me, though I've never been influenced by it consciously before. I wanted to write something that is sort of between categories, where material is neither shared nor layered, or shared or layered. It's ambiguous. While writing the piece, I kept thinking about my old teacher, Louis Andriessen, wonderful Dutch composer who died last year, who always said, "Frozen pitches are our enemies." And that means that the music never moves. If it's dong, dong, it will always be on that level rather than da, da. I sent this to Mark and Adrian because with the pandemic we couldn't work in person, and it didn't work. It had to be at exactly that pitch, exactly frozen, just the opposite of what my teacher always said to me. So it's frozen pitches, which I hope in this case are our friends.